Fucking hell.
They know what they're doing, Leia.
Save Blockland.
All systems go. Right. Hello, willkommen, bienvenue, konnichiwa. Ni hao, jambo, marhaba, aricha, hail, skal. It's time for the Arms Inquisition yet again, episode 272 on Sunday, the 5th of March, 2023. I'm Phil.
I'm Ben.
I'm Matt.
And we're happily joined tonight by the crew from Rise Above, Lance and Andy. How are we doing, boys?
Good evening.
Evening, peasants.
Evening, peasants. How's it going?
Not so bad. Yeah, we had a few technical snafus, didn't we?
Yeah, as always.
But
I had a takeaway snafu as well.
I was going to say, fortunately, not compared to your snafu on Friday night on your live broadcast.
Oh, well, we weren't able to broadcast on Friday because
we certainly weren't allowed to broadcast what we wanted to broadcast.
No, we weren't allowed to broadcast on the main channel, Rise Above Live. We had to go on the second channel we don't normally go live on, and we couldn't be seen to be doing our regular show because Al Gore, aka Al Goreism, and his team of moderators said no, access denied, you're not allowed to. So we had to do like a special guerrilla broadcast, didn't we, PJ?
Yeah, we had to slip it in between some bite-sized videos.
Yeah. So we couldn't because like our viewers love the regular like Friday night now, so we couldn't let them down. So we broadcast about 4 or 5 edits that hadn't been released yet, and in the middle we managed to slip in a special Coviet Union.
Yeah, little 33-minute broadcast.
Yeah. And it also included a special discount code for our event. So we offered a discount on the tickets over the weekend to say sorry for no live show. Hope that made up for it.
Yeah, luckily.
And we give them 2 hours of sheep farm, didn't we?
Oh,
yeah, we did give them 2 hours of sheep farm, which is always a gift that keeps on giving.
So there was a Rise Above interview with sheep farm. We chat to them every sort of 6 weeks, 2 months.
Yeah. We try to have a visit to the sheep farm at least once a month.
Yeah. And then we played one of those for everyone.
Yeah, it's good for the soul.
Well, luckily I follow you on Instagram, Lance, so I saw you posted that you were going on the second channel. Otherwise,
right.
I would have been waiting, on Friday night at 9 o'clock for the thing to come up. But I was saying...
Yeah, we've seen you guys in the live chat there.
Yeah. Well, we were saying just before we started recording, right, I was watching on Friday, and you started with some videos, and there was like some almost like Soviet B-roll film going on.
Yeah.
And like the Soviet music, and then it cuts you faded out to you two in the studio, and you're wearing like Soviet-esque uniforms and all this stuff. And like the audio was like proper lo-fi, like you were broadcasting from behind the Iron Curtain. And everyone in the chat,
viral curtain.
the viral curtain. And everyone in the chat screaming like, sounds off, oh it's too low, oh it's got all this hiss. And I'm there like, no, calm down, this is high artistry. This is a concept. you just don't get it, man.
It was a performance piece. No, what had actually happened in reality was we'd had a meeting before about what we were going to present. I'd had a couple of glasses of red wine. We were quite annoyed that Al Gore had struck us down like that. And we actually failed to engage the Queefmaster Pro, and we were just using the shitty mic out of the webcam. But lo and behold, it sounded exactly like a 70s Soviet filter broadcasting directly from the Coviet Union, comrades.
Yeah, it's like a Radio Free Europe broadcast.
Yeah, when we switched it on halfway through, everyone was like, whoa.
I know, you could have styled it out, I'm telling you. You should have just played along. But it's hard, and I don't know how you guys work it with the streaming, but from me on this end, I can't monitor the output at all other than visually through a visual fader. I can't see. In fact, I've only just looked for the first time now that there's actually any audio going out to YouTube.
Yeah,
we always have the show on in another room in the building the studio's in.
Yeah, so we have like the virtual green room and then the physical green room, and usually it's being viewed in there as well. And we try to have someone, looking at the live chat. But as always, I'm sure you guys have had the same conversation. It's like you really do need like a full-time producer to be sat there in the background just concentrating on. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we sort of share. Andy's got a mouse that does my computer, and I've got a mouse here as well. So he's got 2 mice.
We've got 3 big monitors in front of us, and I can read the comments and stuff on the one over here. Lance can read them over there.
But the thing is, the more we move forward and the more we evolve, it's like I used to have protocol to make sure everything was going to sound good on the show. And then you get some new equipment, and then there's like a new platform you're going through. And before you know it, it's like, now there's another 5 or 6 steps. And sometimes we do just go live and we just totally forget. And I'm like,
yeah,
what's going on? But I think that's part of the journey, because, by the way, I have coined what us guys are. It's NOM, N-O-M, New Organic Media.
Right.
Yeah. And when you're breaking through barriers as in NOM, in New Organic Media, part of the journey, I think, is the progression. It's starting off rusty, clunky, learning your way as you go, and then slowly refining and mastering what you're doing.
One of our affiliates, we call him Godvaj on the show, but it's God Vlamast. He's on YouTube. Shout out to Wim. It's the same for him. He started out, and in his first video, he says that I'm not very good at all this technical graphic stuff, and you can see his progression as it goes along.
The audio was terrible. It was all over the place, and he makes all of his own graphics in these sort of 20 minutes to 50-minute, very, very, very what's the word, visionary stuff that he's put out. He makes all the sound and all the graphics, and it started off quite clunky, and now it's like, I think every time I watch it, it's like a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's got banging production level.
Yeah.
I mean, what's amazing over the last, say, 10, 15 years is the barrier to entry has dropped so low that idiots like us can fairly cheaply, get set up and do live broadcasts, and you can buy the equipment. A lot of the software you can get is open source, and you can just watch a few YouTube tutorials and then pick the rest up as you go along and develop like that. I guess that's where the organic comes in, does it? Because you sort of...
and the good thing is, because this is happening, there is now like technology that's coming in at every level for every pocket, and it's designed specifically for streamers, podcasters, YouTubers,
content creators
and content creators. Even I noticed it when I started doing the video editing before we really went live. I was editing my own music videos and stuff, and I was actually using a mobile phone. And what I realized was, because so many people were using mobile phones to such good effect to make videos, they were starting to make all of this technology around it, like the phone gimbals. Some of those phone gimbals were like £250. They're very, very high tech. Yeah. You can make brilliant videos on them. So, people have, people that make the garbage content, they can get hundreds of thousands of subscribers just by talking into their phone without even an external mic. Us guys, we've got the kit, we've got the mixing desk, and we're trying to, make it like, we're trying to do it properly. And I must say, hats off to you guys. I think you've got the second best looking podcast on YouTube.
Praise
but you do have the best beards. I didn't cut mine in honor all week. So it's got a little bit of length on it, because normally it's mine's a little bit short, but yeah, you two guys smash it with the beards.
Good effort, man.
Much appreciated. And I'm a relatively new adopter of the facial hair.
Yeah, you're a newbie.
It was lockdown beard. It was,
really?
It was the the Movember thing in November, where you meant to stop shaving for charity or something. Yeah, I just stopped altogether, and the Movember of 2020.
Yeah.
And I got through because, like, I was virtually not seeing anyone, because everyone was,
You got through the
staying
patchy,
at home. Yeah, I got through that awkward patchy stage,
Before
staying at home to save lives. Yeah.
Yeah, and grow a beard.
I think my awkward patchy stage was 2002.
I know, yeah.
I think a lot of people in 2020 sort of broke away from the chains of what they were expected to do before and started to think, nah, fuck that, I'll do something different.
Yeah, it's changed massively.
Don't care.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I say it all the time now, and people do raise their eyebrow. I think it's the best thing that's ever happened. That's such a weird comment for some people. Don't really care. I really do think it's one of the best things that ever happened.
I had a great lockdown. Really good.
I remember we were talking to a guest recently, and I think it was when we were talking about the Himalayan Brotherhood. Tim Wyatt, I think it was, a couple of 3 weeks ago. And I think I remember saying something about it gave people sort of headspace, that initial
It
lockdown.
changed everyone.
Yeah. And I guess it's down to the individual how you take that opportunity. You know, I mean, for some people, it would have been sort of cycling down despair. It would have been horrific.
Yeah.
And for other people, it was an opportunity to get off that mouse wheel and get some thinking time and sort of reassess, you know, what you're going to do with your life if you're halfway through, like us lot.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in the paper recently about people in the 50s who basically retired during the lockdown and they want them to get back into the workforce. But they've seen the light, haven't they, essentially? And like you said, they've got off the hamster wheel and they're probably doing something that they actually enjoy for maybe the first time in their lives or in their adult lives, you know.
And a new meaning, a new purpose because of that window of opportunity that was presented.
Yeah.
And I do think it was a massive opportunity. And, you know, and okay, yeah, some people perished. Some people didn't take the opportunity and they wallowed in the weaponized fear and misery that was being sprayed at everyone from the Gatling gun of
From the Coviet Union.
the Coviet Union's minions. You know, we felt all that as well, but the difference was we were able to recatalyze it and to make ourselves stronger.
You alchemized it.
Yeah.
Because
That's real
when,
alchemy.
Yeah, it's like spiritual alchemy in a sense, isn't it? You're taking sort of these vibrations coming in you that might be negative from if you're looking from outside, but that you have an opportunity then to take that energy and transmute it into something positive, which is obviously what you're doing. Anyone who watches your live streams on a Friday and goes to the comment and watches the live chat, you're seeing all these same people coming back week after week. It's like it's a community.
Yeah, the Rise Above family is it's a powerful thing now. You know, and it's palpable.
It is a powerful thing.
We have relationships that have been formed in that live chat, and these people are now living with each other. We've got people that travel up and down the country. Yeah, for real. We've got people that travel up and down the country.
You're like Cilla Black.
Yeah,
have we had the first Rise Above wedding yet?
Not quite. No, not quite.
Do you know what I mean? We have artists come from all over the country. We had Inspector Veg. Shout out to Inspector Veg. We had him in the studio a couple of weeks ago, and he came down from Ipswich.
I think what it is, because we've carved this little Friday night spot for ourselves. Now we are bringing a lot of people together, and what we really want to do and what we want to be is not only the Friday night show, but also sort of the glue that holds everyone together. Because we have a lot of people that come in on the show that have got like physical solutions, and they're doing things, whether it's, you know, growing vegetables, small holdings, teaching kids off grid, you know, and we're trying to bring all that together. And that's what I'm not going to say too much because we've got to present it next week, but that's what we were going to be presenting last night, myself and Andy PG.
It's called Raw Agenda 2033.
So
10-year plan.
So, you know, like Agenda 2030, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the 17 sustainable development goals. Well, you know, those lot are famous for taking something and re-schwabbing it together and inverting it and then using it against you, right? So I thought I would take their thing, and I think, okay, and we've got a 10-year plan about how we do want to, you know, not just be this Friday night entertainment show, but also, you know, take things off the screen. We're already doing it with the events. But we've got a lot more in the pipeline and a lot more planned, and it is really
that's all we'll say for tonight. I think about that.
Yeah, he's already stopping me because I just want to tell everyone about it, but I know I can't. It's really palpable because we wanted to create that space where it was okay to comment on what was going on and not have to hold your tongue, because we certainly didn't hold our tongue when we started doing the live show. You know, the live show with us when we first started, it's very different to what it is now.
100%, yeah. 100%.
We started off with basically just
reporting on Clown World.
Well, yeah, I mean, we started off with just a webcam, and obviously it was all the statistics that now you just can't talk about because you're going to get strikes hit left, right, and center. Then we started reporting on Clown World heavily, and ripping it to pieces every week. We went for a stage for over a year with not really even having a guest.
No, we did. We sort of did special shows, didn't we? We did like a show on Antarctica and a show on some other. We did loads of stuff.
But the thing was, there was so much content being thrown at us week in, week out. With all the memeticians that we had, at one point we had 12 meme artists or memeticists, as I call them, and they were working for us every day. And my inbox was just pure fire because obviously they wanted their memes to get seen. So everyone was coming to me with these memes, and it was quite magic because we would get to a point where we'd say something on the show, and in the next couple of days it would appear in the inbox, and the concept or the joke that we come up with would now be this meme that everyone's sharing around. But then it started happening in real time. Wow. And we get them in the inbox while the show's happening.
We were getting memes sent to us. We'd be talking about a subject in the studio. Sort of 20, 30 minutes later, I'd get an email and we'd look at it and someone sent us a meme about what we've been talking about.
And I was just like, wow, they literally sat there, ready to screenshot, and they've got the editing thing up here. And it's like, that's quite special, So that drives us a lot. It drives us a lot. The interaction and the community and the interaction that we have with the community, the messages and the emails I get all the time. And I do read every single one, even if I don't get to reply to them, I do read them all. And it is quite special. We've had people on well over a dozen occasions literally tell us that if it wasn't for our show, they might not still be here through 2020. Especially through late 2020 and early 2021.
Yeah, when the Coviet Union was the first winter in the Coviet Union.
The first Coviet winter, because what we've got to remember, guys, I don't know about you lot, but we might be in a very privileged position to have a group of friends, a family member, someone at work, or even a strong friend circle that isn't in Clown World, that you can talk to, and you can look at Clown World from an exterior director's box point of view. But imagine having our insight and having no one in your friends or family group that can see Clown World. They are fully immersed in it. And not only that, they're ostracizing you because you're pointing out Clown World. We also do the customer services show for exactly this reason. And we try to do them once a month because we think it's really, really, really important to be able to provide that opportunity for people to call in and literally get this shit off their chest. And some of the stuff we heard, not being invited to Christmas, literally spending Christmas alone. We've had people with special needs call in and tell us how they were basically targeted and sort of groomed to be, what was it? It was to basically be to groom the other people in their care groups to get the Britney Spears and stuff like that, because they were cognitively much more aware and much more capable. So they were on this grooming program to be a Britney partner, where they take them to the centers. Yep. And because this person watched our show, right, and they were getting groomed to be one of these people that took the other people with special needs to the injection center, and they were getting all types of hassle because they obviously weren't going to do it.
They called those people community champions.
That was it, community champions.
Yeah, people from ethnic minorities were targeted. To be a trusted member of the community, to come forth and spread the word of the magic.
I've had a mother with a special needs child that was in a hospital that was about to have a syringe that contained midazolam. She left, on the phone to me and stuff like that. We've had all types of stories come into the show. All types of
spoke to people all over the world as well.
Yeah, we have a big following in Australia, so those guys watch us on Saturday morning, like with their cornflakes and their bacon and stuff, whatever those guys eat over there for breakfast.
Well, yeah, I was listening to I think it was the last customer services where a chap from Australia rang in, and you could hear like these tropical birds singing in the background.
Yeah, it was really loud, right? Yeah. Right? And the funniest thing was, we've got a couple of proper crazy trolls.
But they love us really, because they tune in every week.
They watch every week, yeah. And they were accusing us that they've got a guy in another room and he's got whistles and he's making fake bird noises. And I'm like, really? You really think we would?
And they've
go
just
to
gone
that
and got some dude with an Australian accent in the studio somewhere, or in the room next door.
Yeah, all these calls are scripted. They're actors. They've got actors calling in.
Yeah, we've been called shills, and Lance has been called a Freemason.
Mossad.
Hey,
Yeah,
nice
Mossad,
one.
yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I'm a Freemason as well, apparently.
I've been called a New Age pagan.
I'm New Age pagan. I'm Mossad.
when I actively speak out against the New Age movement as well, but
because my surname's Murdoch as well. So Rupert, are you related to Rupert? It's like, yeah, we follow the paper trail. It goes directly to Murdoch's bank account.
Do you put any of your stuff on BitChute? Because that's where the really juicy comments come in.
But yeah, basically the stuff that got me banned. I made this one. This is before we started going live, right? I made a series of videos back in the heyday of the Coviet Union, and it was called Coviet 1984. I think I got to part 14. Part 5 was the Serco speech, which is sort of like the biggest thing I've ever done that went viral, that got me arrested, and the Serco research. But about episode 12 was when the stuff about AIDS and the HIV and the connection with the Coviet Union was, all of that information was coming out. And basically, I made this video, and it was purely information from mainstream science papers that I just put on the screen. And I was just putting 2 and 2 together. And it was that Professor Luc Montagnier, the Nobel guy that died, Nobel Peace Prize, that got me banned. I think that was part of the reason the first channel got taken down. That one's up on BitChute. Some of the early
we've had both our social medias taken down simultaneously the same day.
But also I did one where I was hassling the Coviet wardens. Sorry,
Coviet weasels.
The weasels.
There's
those street weasels. Like in the early days when all the shops were closed.
Lance used to go skating in down Pool Quay and places like that.
Basically, if anyone was brave enough to keep their shop open, these little weasels in like high visibility tabards, the ones I'm talking about. Well, back in the day, I was a bit militant about stuff like that, and I was like, well, if no one else is going to stop them, I'm sure as hell going to do it. So I just I didn't always have my skates on, but sometimes just dressed all in black with the GoPro. And I was just like right in their face. I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, you can't film it. I was like, I definitely can, and you're not going to be able to stop me. They're like, please stop filming. I was like, no. And because I'm very good at just doing the NO, about this power of no, nothing comes after it, just no. I was like, no. And they're like, oh. And these videos were really good. They reported them for, what was it? Bullying and harassment or something like that. but they were harassing my mates. I had 3 shop owners that I'd interviewed, a cafe owner, Chris from Happy Buddha in Poole, that was selling all the crystal. They were literally bullying them, slapping these ludicrous fines on them just for them opening their store. And Chris was actually selling medicinal products. If you're a herbalist and you're into natural healing and stuff, that's a chemist to you. What his shop was with all the goods he had in there.
But because it's not big pharma chemists.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not recognised.
It's not boots.
Yeah, you can't patent it. That's the big.
So all I was doing was I was sticking up for the local merchants who had the balls to trade through the Coviet Union and just protecting them from these like tabard weasels, basically. But yeah, those videos got taken down, so you can find them on BitChute as well.
Do you remember those pictures of those guys who had they had something on the shoulder and they had a giant screen?
Oh yeah. The TV screen walking around like a fucking
and it was like
walking media.
But the thing is, like on the screen, it was always just like a picture, like hands, face, space, like one of the standard Coviet slogans, Yeah. And I was just thinking, like they had the shoulders over the harness over the shoulders. Like someone has designed that. That's new because we haven't had that before. No one's ever seen that before. That's a brand new thing. Someone's designed that. They've paid to have it machined. Talking hundreds of thousands of pounds just for some weasel to
and it's all
around.
been ready to go.
It's
all just been ready to go.
Probably blue and yellow as well. You know what I mean?
There was no shortage of money sloshing around back in those days. Look at the test and trace. What was that? 40 billion quid.
30 billion
33
a
billion,
year.
yeah.
33 billion. Sorry.
A year.
Well, I worked out that the advertising budget for the Coviet Union in one season was higher than the brand new Star Wars movie that year, because it was 300. I believe it was 322 million.
Yeah, we covered it.
322.
There was
that was the advertising.
There was a point where the largest buyer of advertising was Her Majesty's government. And the second place or third place highest spender was Public Health England during that period.
PHE.
Yeah, they soon got disbanded, didn't they? They
yeah,
got
what is it? The Health Security Agency now. Is that what it's called?
UK Health Security Agency.
Oh, you see what they did there? So
Yeah.
before it was Public Health England. So it doesn't sound bad enough. They're totally corrupt. They've ripped off like 33 billion for test and trace. I'll tell you what. We'll come with what was it? Health Security England. So now they've managed to swab in security with health. You see what they've done there? That's a clever move. That's an ID 2020 move. That is. Now you've not just got health, you've got security and health all in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
You can see where that's going.
Well, I remember watching our friend Tony B. Lyer at the WEF, the last WEF at Davos, and he was really pushing hard for these ID cards. But it's like we mentioned on the podcast, he was pushing for ID cards when he was Prime Minister.
Yeah, 20 years ago, more, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a big thing, that, wasn't it? And it got kiboshed.
Yeah, David Blunkett was Home Secretary at the time. And he
just
and
testing the water back then.
Well,
the testing the water.
The technology wasn't there. Look how far we've come in 20 years when it comes to smartphones and QR codes and all the rest of it, microchips.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, right? Because when all this kicked off in 2020, I had just come back into the country from Asia, and all this happened, and I had already clocked before it got properly announced. I saw some videos in Thailand, and I was like, this is going to be the event that tips the world economy. I was already sure. And I got back and, people were sort of asking, what do you think this is going to be? What is it? Why haven't you posted about it? And I was like, let me have a few more days to look at the stats, because I'm not really sure if there's some sort of like super dangerous Chinese bioweapon or this is total bullshit or not. So I was sort of like, let me have a little think for a couple of days. And I think I finally posted something like, whatever's going to go on, the financial fallout and the societal fallout will probably be much more dangerous than whatever they say this is. But early on, I think that's where I was.
And was that what pushed you? Because you started up Rise Above sort of not coincidentally, but at the same time. So was that sort of the catalyst for you starting with your streams?
Well, we were already doing our Facebook group and heavily posting in late 2019, weren't we?
Yeah. Because I messaged Lance, because I was...
What was the group called? Cognitive Dissonance?
Cognitive Dissonance, yeah. I messaged Lance back in 2020 at the start when this all started, and when you were warning about taking money out of the bank and stuff like that.
What's going on about the global financial reset in late 2019?
And I was saving for a mortgage at the time, so I asked Lance about it, and that's when we started chatting.
This is why I just started this story, because I went on a bit of a tangent there. All of the stuff that I'd researched prior to this was super relevant. I'd obviously been looking at Gavi, at Bill Gates, and all these other things.
That's Dr. Bill Gates.
Dr. Bill Gates.
We call him Health Chancellor Gates.
I've been looking at the UN, Health Chancellor Gates. Yeah. I've been looking at the UN and the Agenda 21, Codex Illuminating, all of these globalist plans, right? So when this happened, I knew what the score was and I knew what was going to happen. But one thing that had completely slipped under my radar in all of my research for the whole 20 years before was that ID 2020 thing. That ID 2020 board that literally links it all together with Microsoft, Gavi, the Rockefeller Foundation,
Big Pharma,
MasterCard, Big Pharma, Accenture, all of these tech companies. Because when I looked at it, I was like, holy shit.
All headed up by Serco.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is the absolute icing on the cake. This means that everything which I previously was basically coming up with in my head from what I was reading, it's definitely true. This proves what they're going to do. But I was super surprised that I hadn't heard of it before. And I hadn't really heard of Event 201 until after it happened.
No, nor did I.
No, so those two, so the same for you.
Yeah.
Both of those key parts of the Coviet rollout totally went under our radar. And we were looking at that stuff at the time. We were,
we were looking at everything.
We had, because what it was, I think about halfway through 2019, when all that Q stuff was happening, and a lot of people were waking up to, you know, the world of the rabbit hole. I was getting quite successful in combat sports, and I was on BT Sport, and I was doing international level MMA. So I had to watch about. I was posting about controversial stuff, but I wasn't going fully crazy, like, you know, the occult stuff and the Satanism and that kind of thing. And then I got a flavor that, you know, there's something's going to happen. We're on the cusp of a big event. And I made a post, something like, guys, everyone has a feeling that something's going to happen. And there's a lot of information here. Put your hand in the air. Give me a like. Give me a hashtag or something if you want me to open up the rabbit hole and go in, because I have some stuff. And the response was like quite a lot. It was quite a lot of people. Yes, and they'd come from out the woodwork. They'd never commented on any of my stuff before that. Yeah, what's going on? So I started like just releasing stuff about, like, you know, what we were talking about, just the general, your meat and potatoes sort of, like,
bit of global
conspiracy stuff, you know.
Yeah, a bit of human trafficking, bit of like Project Blue Beam, and
this is actually before Epstein was arrested.
Yeah, that's right.
We did this about a month before Epstein arrested, and once when he first got arrested, I made a post. I was like, that man will not survive the weekend. And then the next morning he was dead, and then there was a load more eyes on us. And that's when, did we get our Facebook taken down before the Coviet Union or after?
It was after.
Because there was a lot of like Trump stuff on there.
Yeah.
Done for, but
Let's be honest, Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, it's irrelevant. I mean, he did help people see some shit that was going on.
He has some Enochian qualities about him. Like, he's a great player in this like pantomime, a great character. Don't get me wrong, I'm not, you know, I don't think he's any sort of savior, but I thought he was a great character. It was definitely super entertaining.
And he did help some people, like, you know, go down the rabbit hole with some stuff.
Well, what did that Marina Abramovich say? Right, there's this very weird interview with Marina Abramovich, and she's talking about when she spent time with these North Pole witches near Iceland or somewhere like that, or I can't remember,
on the Arctic Circle.
And they had this dream time where they basically consumed a superhero dose of like mushrooms. Really? And they pass out for like 2 days, and when they come round, they tell about the visions. And the visions that these shamans had, that they told Marina Abramovich, was Donald Trump is a high-level wizard, and he's here to wake up the world. Now, Marina Abramovich is relaying this message to the kind of people that listen to Marina Abramovich. They're a bunch of like left-wing Hollywood Satanists, right? So you can imagine what they think of her saying this about Donald Trump. And the audience was, I'd love to have the clip up and show you guys. It's a couple of years since I've seen it.
Because you think
you've
like,
seen it, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
You think he was so hated in the media? Literally every single media station was going after him. All newspapers, everything.
He revealed so much, though. He was going,
yeah. So you think
corrupt.
The dude
this
must have been doing some good if and going against whoever is in control of all the media, because they don't like that shit.
Well, it's obviously a Punch and Judy dynamic, isn't it?
I think he's,
you know, the media is the crocodile, and then you've got like Punch and Judy, and like one of them is helping the crocodile, and the other one's getting eaten by it. And Trump was the one the crocodile was after it.
Yeah,
you know, he was saying, "Nah, this crocodile's a fucking puppet." Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of a paradox, Trump, because he's so divisive a figure. He is such an easy target, and the way the media in the States went after him, and over here to a lesser degree, it really did sort of it exposed just how partisan the media is. I think to a greater degree. So than any previous
this
president.
Carries over into the stuff that's going on with the war in Ukraine, isn't it? Because you think all the media, all the newspapers and stuff, they're slanting Putin.
Yeah,
literally. So maybe that dude's doing some good. And I do know that Putin is like, he promotes the nuclear family, doesn't he? He's not any of this left-wing fucking transgender children at school and all of that. He's not into all that.
No,
he doesn't want Russia to come
he's banned the rainbow, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He's banned the rainbow and, you know, the alphabet mafia, we call it here on the show. And so you think, and all the media is slating him. So maybe he's doing something similar to what Donald Trump was doing in his own way.
The problem with that whole situation is we get no useful information, and you can't trust any of it.
We just see Zelensky meeting, was it Adam Sandler?
All I know
Adam
is I know,
Sandler.
Yeah, he met Adam Sandler during
My favourite
during
was
the
when he
war.
got the Oscar. We played that clip, didn't we? When he got
Yeah,
the
doing
Oscar.
stuff like that. Like
Sean
if
Penn.
they're
Sean
under
Penn.
attack and his country's at war, and he's
Golden Penis
he's
Award.
got time to go and pick up an Oscar.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we're so insulated. You know, assuming that you don't listen to channels like ours, if you just stick to the mainstream, you're very insulated in what sort of perspectives you're served by the media.
Oh, mate, it's pure mind control.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's when you look at the sort of coalition of powers involved in the situation in Eastern Europe right now, you've got Western Europe, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan on one side. Like the rest of the world's fucking neutral. Like Africa, Asia, they're not taking sides. They're not sending aid. They're not sending jets or bombs or missiles or anything. They're completely neutral, and they're buying oil from Mr. Putin as well. But we don't hear that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You got to remember about India and China. You know, the two most populous countries on the planet essentially are both supporting Russia, aren't they?
Through buying the oil.
Buying the oil. Yeah, he was quite happy, wasn't he? The Prime Minister of India to get some cheap oil from Russia.
Well, Putin was very happy because the price of oil went up, didn't it? And that's his number one export.
Yeah.
You know, who's playing who here?
Well, that insulates him, doesn't he, from all of these whatever they're called.
I mean, I personally think this war in Ukraine is just something to use as an excuse to higher the prices for everything, like this cost of living crisis that we've
Isn't
been...
it because of the biolab baby farms there, comrade?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I've heard some pretty crazy stuff that like this thing in Ukraine is multi-layered.
It's a hub for the
I mean, I
underworld.
don't know how much I'm really allowed to talk about on your show, but I can use code words, I suppose. Do you know about KZ? There's a mafia called that starts with a K. The Khazaria mafia.
Yeah.
Well, if you subscribe to that theory, that there is this this bloodline that likes to become imposters and pose as many other people and infiltrate. Well, if you follow that back, the homeland of Khazaria, right? So the word Caucasian, right? The Caucasus Mountains, on the steppes of the Caucasus Mountains, this is where Ukraine is. So there is this growing feeling that this could be something about creating a new homeland, a new holy land. It has echoes of another project in the world which is very controversial. And if you look at the what's that? It's called the trident.
Trident.
It's like a trident, but it's spelled different. The symbol of Ukraine that they're using is the same as the Khazarian Empire. So there is something going on here extra. There's a whole extra subtext that's going on, as well as obviously like a power struggle, a border struggle, the whole thing about the ethnically Russian people.
All you're told if you subscribe to the Clown World media is that Putin's invading
Putin is the
UK.
reason for everything. It's Putin and Brexit are the two leading reasons for everything bad in Clown World. Whether it's no tomatoes on the shelf, whether it's petrol at £2 a litre.
All of it. It's just Putin. So you think he's getting slated in the same way Donald Trump did. So I'm just saying he might not be doing all bad. They're
just Hitlerizing him. And but the funny thing is,
Putin is Hitler.
Yeah. When he first invaded Ukraine, allegedly, didn't they strike a load of US nuclear bio facilities or some shit like that, where they would had pathogens and all that kind of stuff, like research?
Well, there's the other thing that the Ukraine has a huge problem with human trafficking, and it's the reason why it has a really big booming trade in surrogacy and in orphans, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Dave was saying some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah,
about
he was. Yeah.
Michael,
but it's no.
I won't even repeat what he was saying. But
it's well known that Ukraine was the most corrupt country in Europe before this started, and I mean, I sort of come from it at a different angle. I'm sort of looking at the more military industrial complex kind of vibe, in that all these aid deals that the US is behind. You know, they're saying they're donating their old F-16s so that they can pay Lockheed Martin for the new F-22s, and that's the contract. That's the deal.
They've got quotas, comrade. They've got the quotas to fulfill. They have to. They have to get those. They have to get that hardware off so it can be slaughtering people in somewhere else. You know, it's had its primary use. Let's get the secondary users, and then after that, it'll probably go to Africa or something like that. Once if it survives Ukraine,
some fucking warlord will have it.
You can guarantee that most of these aid projects will be loans, and that Ukraine will be on the hook.
Yeah.
To the United States forever. That's how they've always done it. It's how they took over Central America and South America, generally through the World Bank, but with large development contracts. And we haven't even got to the rebuilding process yet. You know, once the fighting's over, and then these massive infrastructure contracts start getting handed out. And I wonder who'll be at the top of the list for rebuilding Ukraine.
Is it BlackRock?
Yeah, it'll be BlackRock, State Street, Halliburton, all the usual fucking suspects who made a killing. Oh, God, that's a bad choice of phrase. But rebuilding Iraq. It's the same play.
Rebuilding worlds. It's what's that in Aliens? Is it the Wayland Corporation?
Yeah.
We rebuild worlds. It's like we'll destroy your whole fucking planet, and then we'll rebuild it again with a 33% profit
and a microchip.
And you'll thank us for it as well.
Yeah, and you'll be happy.
Yeah,
and you'll own none of it. We'll own all of it. Interplanetary Lord Schwabin it right up.
Oh dear. Just to get
that's above, so below, though, isn't it? It's like that. You know. What's going on down here in peasant world? It's like, that's probably going.
I always think it's the same play every time. They're not creative, are they? It's the same shit they do, but the only thing that changes is the technology over time. Do you know what I mean?
The efficiency as well.
Yeah, because of the technology. Yeah. You think they got AI now? Like we were talking last week, weren't we? When we went off show that we get the peasant AI. Like to do the artwork and stuff like that, and there's I
was loving the chat GPT. So, it's like, come on, what you think?
You
think they've just got this? And, right, this has just been created.
So you think what
we'll
they
release it for £30 a month, $29.99 to all the peasants, and they can talk to it all day. It's like, really, come on.
And then their AI, what they can do with it.
That shit has probably been running the show for 20 years at least.
Well, yeah. How far ahead do you think, like the NSA or whatever it is, when it go, or MI6 or what do we call it? GCHQ. Yeah, it's the one over here. It's like you wonder. You have to sort of. It's quite tempting to speculate just how far ahead they are in the sort of black ops realm when it comes to technology compared to what's like the general consumer based product.
I guess it's the old adage. It's like, high technology is like actually indistinguishable from magic. So like if if an alien came down and they had a form of technology that was so far out of our comprehension, it would basically seem like magic. If you went back in time, in a time machine, you took your smartphone with you, all the peasants back in you got the black magic box. What is that? You've got black magic box in your pocket. It's so, we've sort of thought, well, that you're not going to stop this from happening, unless you actually go and form an Amish community or a Ramish community.
Nice.
Slip that in. But the thing is, like, okay, if the AI is if you're allowing the smart technology to make you stupid, then that's obviously not good, because we can all see that if you're using like a smartphone with a built-in map, that then after a while, without it going turn left, turn right, your map skills start to dwindle. Sure. And that goes across the spectrum.
Same as like a calculator and stuff like that.
Yeah. But if you're using the AI to do things that enable you to then do extra things on top that you weren't able to do before. So if you can do task one, what normally take you 30 minutes, task number one, if you can do that in 30 seconds with AI, in the other 29.5 minutes, you can do tasks 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
so that's the way that I look at it.
That's funny because in our quick plug for the newsletter, in our last newsletter that came out at the beginning of this month, I wrote a piece about ChatGTP, totally on this subject area, that if we rely on these tools, which are a utilitarian wet dream, that that's so great for productivity. You can get so many tasks done so easily and quickly without any effort. You risk atrophying our creative abilities when it comes to expressing ourselves. Like art, music, you guys know, you do music or lyrics, all the rest of it. They're like muscles that you've got to exercise. Use it or lose it. And if we become so dependent on AI for things like art or music or writing an essay or whatever, you're gonna go dumb. You're gonna lose those abilities. The only thing you'll need to be able to do is how to work ChatGPT.
Is the irony that you got ChatGPT to write the article for the newsletter?
Well, again, I addressed that in the article.
I mean, we've been playing around with the AI art, haven't we?
I can't lie, Phil. Right, since basically I started really getting into this AI art on the run-ups to the event, and in the event I have to design a lot of art for the promotion. I haven't picked up my I draw on my tablet. I have not picked up that stencil, that the stylus, sorry, since I've been using Midjourney. But I've managed to, in the time that it would have taken me to draw 2 or 3 images, I've done the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I've done other stuff. So you're absolutely right. It's probably a balance because, if you don't keep your tools sharp, they go blunt.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Expediency is great. But like I said, I could have used ChatGPT to write the article, and how would have I felt afterwards? Would I have any sense of accomplishment? Would I feel that I'd developed artistically? Would I feel like it was worthwhile? No, it just would have been another task chalked off the list. And that's something that's unique about us as humans, that we're a creative species. We like taking something and making something else out of it, whether it's music or art. Cooking, I used as an example in the article. People can exercise their creativity through cooking.
I bet ChatGPT could come up with like a wicked recipe if you told it basically what you wanted. Yeah.
I bet it could.
Well, Jordan Peterson was saying the other day, and I know people don't like Jordan Peterson. He's good to a certain extent, but you got to leave him where you leave him. He was talking about it, right? And he said something like he asked it to evaluate 2 like really sort of quite complex theological subjects and do and write this essay. And he said he'd write this essay in 3 seconds, and the essay was good. And the essay would have scored well if he was marking it.
Yeah.
And he did it in 3 seconds. So, I mean, for me, I think the line I would draw, I can't imagine ever even wanting or attempting to use AI to write lyrics, because for me, that would completely negate the purpose of doing it.
Yeah. Your personality is infused in what you create. Yeah. And once you subcontract that out to an algorithm, then it's not you anymore.
No, it's that simple.
Yeah. I'm totally with you, because we're musicians as well. And it's like, our band exploded with the pandemic, didn't it? Because bands weren't allowed anymore. So that was sort of part of my creative outlet that disappeared with the pandemic, and I haven't picked it back up since, because you go through phases, don't you? And if you just want to move on, try something new. So that's what I did. But anyway, I wanted to ask you, because we're kindred spirits in a way, Lance and Andy, in that you guys are into the esoteric and the occult and research. I always want to know how people get into it in the first place. What's the entry point?
So for me, I used to be a chef years ago, and I didn't used to finish work till sort of 11, sometimes 12 o'clock at night. And that was the time where, do you know what I mean? A lot of people used to go to the pub in the evening, but it had shut at 11. Sort of kicking out time was 20 past 11. So I often just used to go home, have a couple of beers with my mate. We'd roll a couple of joints, and then we'd just start researching. And it was 9/11 that started it off for me.
Right.
So then I started researching, sort of darker stuff and some black magic. I read a lot of Aleister Crowley's work and stuff like that. And it's just evolved from then into what it is now.
Did you ever practice, Andy?
No, none of that. No, we were just researching, and then it got onto like the adrenochrome stuff and human trafficking, and then then linked to all politicians and stuff like that. And then it was just what it's like. You go down one rabbit hole, like we researched 9/11, and then we ended up on human trafficking and stuff like that. So like once you're in there's many forks down the rabbit hole to go down. But for me, the catalyst was 9/11 to start getting into
the same
alternative
for me.
research.
It was a conscious shock. It was a conscious shock for me. It was, I think it was 5 or 6 years after 9/11 when I saw Zeitgeist, and this is really archetypal. So many people of our age group.
Same here.
Yeah, right, there you go. Honestly, how old are you guys?
40.
What?
so we're 30.
Yeah.
I'm 40 in August.
Yeah, we're all turning 40 this year, Lance. We're the same age.
So yeah, we're all roughly the same age, and everyone I speak to that's roughly our age, it was Zeitgeist. And it's really funny. MC Manic, who's my good friend who comes on the show as well, all before I got into this, we were friends through music, as I was with Andy. And I didn't see Manic for a couple of years, and I went around his house once, and I sat there, and he had this David Icke book on the side, and I was reading the same David Icke book at the time he was reading it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "Yes," and then 3 or 4 hours later, and then we were having like a weekly meeting to go through this, because what happened with me and with him is we find these David Icke books where it just gives you every one of these subjects in its full entirety, all in one book. Absolutely fries your brain. And then you sort of have to go back and reverse engineer all these separate different subjects, go to the source material that Icke went to when he was Jeremy Clarkson in it. He was just pulling it all together, and then sort of reverse engineer that over a number of years, and then put it together for yourself. That was the thing for me, and it took at least 10 years. I think then by 2012, that's when I felt a big change, because before 2012, if I talked about this stuff or posted about it in the early days of the social media, it was like you'd have 1 or 2 people and everyone else just total, mocking you or whatever. After 2012, it's totally different. That's what my perception was. Because I'd heard about the Mayan calendar before that, and obviously, that didn't happen. But I did feel there was a massive vibrational shift in 2012.
Well, you say it didn't happen. There are people who think that was just the end of the cycle. That there was something happened, but it was misinterpreted that this was going to be an apocalypse or an end times, or the Mayan calendar is running out, therefore the world's going to end. And I remember Joe Rogan doing a live podcast, because I used to listen to JRE back then. And
yeah, me too.
Yeah, the interpretation is different. No, it's cyclical. Time is cyclical. And that it wasn't the end of something, it was the beginning of something else.
Yeah, but I also think there's a lot to suggest that the date was wrong in what we were told. And, when 2020 happened, I was convinced. The first thing I said is the Mayans were 8 years early. In a couple of speeches I did that went a little bit viral. Some people, Archaics, who does some excellent research, he's convinced that the end of the cycle is actually 2040, and he sort of shows mathematically
the Phoenix event.
Yeah, the Phoenix event. He shows mathematically how the Mayans have been misinterpreted, for instance.
He is absolutely gagging for someone to critique his work from the mainstream, like Graham Hancock or someone like that. He's literally begging for someone to go through his research and tell him something different.
But whether the Mayans were wrong or not, I felt a vibrational shift in 2012, at least in people's perception and their openness to this kind of information. Because I sort of, especially, I always take a little bit of a macro view of the internet. Sometimes I just scroll through Facebook and Twitter and just look at what everyone's posting and try to have a little feel, or I used to anyway. And I feel there was a change in 2012. There was a much more of an appetite in people previously that weren't open to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And you said that the Mayans might have been 8 years too early. One of the things that freaked me out in 2020 was that grand conjunction on the winter solstice. Was it the 22nd or the 23rd of December? And I remember being on the podcast and saying, like, it's the darkest day of the darkest year, and we've got this grand conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter and Mars, I think it was a triple one. It's like, whoa.
Well, the
this is
Coviet
some
Union is
crazy
highly,
symbolism
highly up
here.
there with the Saturnian death cult. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have doubted that this was planned to take place for that event.
It's wild. I don't know.
So, I mean, we had what was the first Coviet Union enforcement? 23rd of the 3rd, wasn't it? It's 23rd of March in 2020.
It
Well,
was
yeah, I think-
first
and
lockdown. Yeah.
That's all your threes there.
And I predicted, well, it wasn't really a prediction to me. It was just obvious. I said it in, I think it was September 2020. I said, I guarantee we'll go into second national lockdown on the 31st of October. Because I looked and I clocked it was a special moon on.
It was a harvest.
It was a blood.
It was a harvest blood
like
moon. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was doing this big. I was stood on a bench in Bournemouth doing the speech, and I was like, on the day of this moon, and someone goes live. They've just announced it. They got up on their phone because like, Boris has just said he's just announced
At
it
3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to lockdown on
And
Monday.
it was the Saturday as well. He announced it on Saturday, which is
Saturn's Day, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing was, in 2020, I did that twice on two separate occasions. I made these two what I thought were very obvious predictions about when the lockdown was going to be lifted and happen, and they both came true. And
all you have to do is study the lunar calendar of what it's doing, and you can see when they're gonna make some announcement or some event.
Like, how do you know this? How do you know this? I was like, it's just obvious. Look, they use it. It's just like, pagan rituals. They choose certain dates in the calendar that have energy vortices, and this is ancient knowledge. It's nothing new. And they're going, no, but they because what was it? The Day of Freedom was actually the summer solstice. Remember?
That's right. Yeah.
Freedom Day. Yeah.
Which, funny enough, was the day which I was in court for the original charges from November the 11th, the year before, and I was arrested for warning people about the digital immunity passport and all that kind of stuff. And it was really funny because on the day, on Freedom Day was the day when they were sort of like dropping it all, and just as I was getting acquitted, and it was just so synchronistic. I just felt like it was kind of like a movie for me that year. It was very, very strange.
Well, it's something that none of us are ever going to forget.
No,
That's for certain. I mean, it's just burned into the psyche of the entire nation. Well, we're rocking up to time, and we haven't talked about Rhona yet.
Right, Equinox, almost.
Sorry,
right, okay. So
I'm a few doom bars in at the moment. Sorry, Equinox.
Equinox.
This is part of the community building, isn't it? That you're managing now. How many live events is this now? This is
our second meetup. Basically, the first big one we did was on September the 11th. The Raw Treat. So it's an off-grid camping retreat / festival, live music, workshops, seminars, woodland survival training, foraging, everything.
Teachers, there's everything there.
But this time we're doing it for 4 days.
There's whittling.
Good. Yeah, there's whittling, there's stool carving, there's shelter building. We have
axe throwing.
Not those stools.
Yeah. So I'll just reel it off. So we have the UK's finest conscious artists and performers, an artisan marketplace, workshops, seminars, teachers, stand-up comedy and poetry, woodland survival training. It's in Southover Woods in Dorset from April the 6th to April 10th. People performing and appearing: Mark Devlin, allegedly Dave, Lucas Lyon, Tommy Coyle, Jay Dart, Marcus Payne. We have Kyle Greaves doing stand-up comedy, Lost Dice, Ryan Sanders. We have Billy Watson, an awesome comedian. It's going to be really special. It's totally family friendly. Woodland survival training for the kids.
Inspector Veg
is going to be there too, doing the Inspector Veg experience. And I just let you know, this is not like just an event in a field. It's actually within a really magical woodland, and it's a fully immersive experience. We really go in on the lighting and the production. For anyone that's seen our podcast, they can imagine what we do in a real life event. Tickets are available right now, and until midnight there's actually a special discount where the adult weekend tickets are £99 instead of 133. There is a code #FU Al Gore in capitals. This is a special. It's because Al Gore took the show down this week. We're giving a special discount on the tickets for the whole weekend, but it runs out at midnight tonight, so it's your last chance. We've sold loads of tickets this weekend. It's going to be an amazing event. We've got so many more people to announce as well. But yeah, it's
I'm throwing up the poster here. It looks great.
Yeah.
And Mark Devlin as well. We need to get Mark on our
He's doing
show.
a special speech about the spring equinox and about the importance of these dates and how they're used by those that are working against us. So, and funnily enough, we've chosen this date very carefully. This is the pink moon.
Oh,
Once a year, you have a pink moon in the spring, and it actually signifies the start of spring.
yeah.
So our last event was under a harvest moon. It's
On
not just
9/11.
on 9/11, and the Queen died on the first day of the event, which was pretty interesting.
God, who's going to die this time?
Oh well, we can take our pick. There's a few people who are, who are up for the chop, I think. But yeah, we have chosen the date especially. So we're going to plant some seeds under this pink moon that we can hopefully sow in the harvest again. And yeah, we'd like to invite everyone there with their children as well. It is totally family friendly. Loads of kids last time. They had an amazing time.
Yeah, and dog camping as well, if you've got poochies.
Yeah, if you have a dog, we have a field that you can camp in next door. Sadly, the dogs aren't allowed in the woodland campsite because we have kids running around. But yeah, you can keep your dog in the field in your car and walk it in there. riseabove.tv, that's how you get more information and tickets as well.
There's loads on there. There's videos on the website from our last event.
Yeah.
If you want to go over the website and check them out.
Any of you guys going to be able to make it? I'm sure I can sort you out if you'd like to come.
Well,
Sounds interesting.
we have an issue, don't we? Because we're going to Stonehenge. I think is it
Yeah.
2 weeks? Is it the week before? I can't remember. It's the week before or 2 weeks before. How long's the drive to Stonehenge? It's 6 hours.
5 hours. Dorset's further.
Where are you coming from? Preston?
Yeah, Lancashire. Yeah. I mean, it's been
5.5 hours to Dorset, I think.
Yeah. The issue we have is, like you, Lance, we're all turning 40. So, was it 2 weeks ago? We had a weekend in Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks before that, we had that surprise birthday party.
Yeah.
We've had the weekend. You didn't go to that one.
No, I didn't.
Birmingham.
We had the Birmingham trip.
Yeah.
We've got Rottenstall. We've
Yeah.
got Stonehenge. And it's like, we've all got young kids and wives and stuff. And there's limits, isn't there, to how much you
You've
can
been burning the
parlay.
candle at both ends.
Yeah, it
boys.
sounds
like-
like it.
Yeah, I'm married now, and yeah, my wife is ever suffering because apart from the show, I've got an MCing career as well. So sometimes I get called to fly to other countries,
Nice.
like a week in Kazakhstan I did recently. The last time was Thailand, and I got to take her with me. I rolled into a holiday. She was very pleased about that.
Did you go to that new capital city? That's like it's like a Agenda
Kid,
21.
I was in Almaty, which is the second largest industrial city in Kazakhstan. Which it was very normal, but yeah, you were talking about Astana, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I was gutted because I took my rollerblades. I wanted to go rollerblading around the new NWO capital of the world with my camera, but nah, access denied.
It's like the new bug out capital for the globalist chills. This place in Kazakhstan, it's wild. When you look at the architecture, it's amazing.
It's like a massive energy harvesting device. it's like a big circuit board.
Yeah. Well, Lance, Andy, we've done over an hour already. Where does the time go? We're gonna have to sign off, aren't we?
No, it's all good. Thank you very much for having us on, guys. We'll have to get you
thanks
on our
for
show
coming.
on a Friday night.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
for
have,
sure.
we're gonna have to do this again. It's been great fun.
No, awesome. I think what we'll do, I'll prepare a big slideshow of epic stories from Clown World, and we'll get you guys on to shoot the shit.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, riseabove.tv, everyone, if you want to see more, hear more, or get tickets to the event.
Yeah, links are in the show notes for Rhona
Awesome.
tickets and the website. So just scroll down and check it out.
Ranox.
Ekranox. I keep saying, do I keep butchering it?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Doesn't matter as long as you've got raw in it. It doesn't matter.
Just click the link, alright? Fucking hell. You know, I'm an amateur, you know. I've just been doing this for like 12 months.
Yeah. 272 episodes in. Yeah.
Right. It's been a
Cheers, guys.
pleasure. Nice to see you, Lance.
Great
and
talking
Andy.
to you guys.
No, thanks again.
Yeah.
Stay on the line for 1 minute while we play ourselves out. And for you watching in YouTube land, we'll be back in 15 minutes or so for part 2. Do some news. Because nothing's happened this week, has it?
No.
Right. Sayonara.
Bye.
Say, Plopland.
They know what they're doing, Leia.